Mesdames et messieurs,
The greatest festival of our contemporary society, the Olympic Games, is about to begin.
this is gonna be close.
Oh! They're all completely gassed! They've given it everything on the global bucket! Oh, yeah! Go! Oh!
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. But that is an Olympic championship.
Ready?
Hello and welcome to another episode of Keep the Flame Alive, the podcast for fans of the Olympics and Paralympics. If you love the games, we are the show for you. I am your host, Jill Jarris, joined as always by my lovely co-host, Allison Brown. Allison, hello, how are you?
I'm a little disappointed that you didn't bring the Prosecco today
How so?
because of what we're talking about. Like, I feel like we should have wine and cheese.
A little hospitality along with our interview.
A little hospitality along with recording. I think it's required.
I could use a Prosecco today, I could tell you that.
The official
specifically,
one too. The
Yeah, I
official.
could specifically use that. Yeah. You know, LA28, come on, let's get an official wine sponsor or something because you're in California. There's a lot of California wines. Let's go. Paul Caine, thank you so much for joining us. We are back in America, and we've talked before in Italy how the Europeans didn't necessarily understand hospitality the way Americans do. So what did you learn from Paris and Milano Cortina in terms of marketing to other countries outside of the US when you look to LA?
Well, first of all, Jill and Allison, it's so great to see you both. And thank you so much for having me today. I love this podcast and I love the two of you, and it's a treat. So thank you.
Thank you.
First and
Thank you,
foremost.
Paul.
Hospitality around the world is a really interesting concept because if you translate the word hospitality, it means different things in every language. And in some places, it's just food. Sometimes it's shelter. You know, like in Europe, if you're going to go and say, oh, you know, I'd like to have a hospitality experience, to a lot of people, when you say those words, what they believe is you're going to go to their home, have a home cooked meal before you go to the event, right? It's like the notion of hospitality is different. Even in the US, we talk about regional hospitality, southern hospitality, northern hospitality, right? Beach hospitality, country hospitality. You know, like everyone has a different perspective of what that means. And then when you go into countries of origin or ethnicities or how people define themselves, hospitality means things to different people. But when it comes to sports, hospitality, the way we in North America understand it, is not typical in Europe or in many parts of the world. But that doesn't mean that On Location brought hospitality from North America to around the world. When we work in a country or any region, we try to make the hospitality reflect the rights holder. So when we were in Paris, it was very important that we really represented Parisian hospitality. We worked very closely with Paris 24 to figure out what that meant. And what that really meant was not just the quality of food, which of course in Paris is very well known for the high quality of food, but it was how it was prepared, how it was served, the kinds of utensils and china that it was served on, the environments it was served within, and even the time it was served. So I'll break that down for you. So like in Paris, we hired Michelin star level chefs. Some of them were actually Michelin star owners. Some of them were just worked in Michelin star restaurants. But they were a level of quality of food that was very finely prepared, very much what you expect from Paris. Secondly, is they were pre-portioned on plates with 1.5 ounces on every plate, and it was delivered in a beautiful style. Now, think about that. If you're going to have a 1.5 ounce of, let's say, a tourneau of beef on a plate, and you're handed that and that's your hospitality experience for dinner, if you're coming from North America, perhaps that would feel paltry to you, right? So there's a different experience expectation there. And it's not that we're abundant when we do things in the US, but we think about things differently. You know, like when you come to the Super Bowl, you're going to have beautiful steaks and sushi and things like that, but you're going to be able to fill your plate. You're going to maybe have some sliders, but you can have 2 or 3. You can have a basket of French fries, I mean, you're going to have enough food and experience that really reflect what you want from a pre-Super Bowl experience, but that's different than what you saw in Paris. And similarly in Milan, for Milan, they had a high expectation of food there too, but they had different expectations. They were very much about specific types of foods, like regarding cured meats or specific cheeses, types of drinks like Negronis and others that were served that really reflected the Milan lifestyle and cuisine. Risotto. I mean, think about the different way risotto's prepared in northern Italy. You know, it's Milanese style, which has saffron and is cooked a little bit more al dente, which versus southern Italy, which is going to be more of a stock base with the mushrooms or other or fish pulled into it as opposed to layered on top of it. So we have to think about these things wherever we go. Now, as we go to LA, can't wait for that because it's North American hospitality. People understand it, they think about it differently, and they seek it out. And that's the last thing I'll say is in Europe, generally the first thing people think about when they think about a sports experience isn't hospitality because they're not thinking about it as it correlates to the experience. But in North America, 100%, they think about hospitality. They think about seat location, they think about where they're parking, their egress, they're thinking about the food they're going to have because they're entertaining customers, they're there with guests, they're there with their family. They want to have an incredible experience.
When you looked at the results of Paris and Milano, how did they compare with your projections, both like financially and customer satisfaction wise? And did those results affect any plans for LA?
When we got into the games, we really always understood them to be a 3-game series, all with the eye towards LA, because we always knew that LA was going to be the reason why we wanted to be in the Olympics for this set of games, because of how incredible we knew the LA games were going to be. We already knew what Casey and the LA committee were doing at that point. We knew that it was going to be the largest games of all time. Anything in North America is going to be huge in the world of hospitality. So that was the big prize. We only had 3 years from the moment we decided, or we got appointed till we actually, the opening ceremony of Paris. 3 years is not a long time to plan something of that scale. So we knew that it was not going to be a huge financial success, but we knew it was going to be an important, critical opportunity for us to introduce on location and post-COVID, introduce hospitality at the next level, frankly, introduce experiences, and to really help customers and partners understand what on location can do on a global scale. We felt very good about the results. The critical results on that were phenomenal. The guest experience was tremendous. People still talk about it. I mean, say what you want about the Paris Games, but they did a phenomenal job of showcasing City of Paris in the backdrop of the Olympics. And every stadium was iconic. Every view was extraordinary. It was magical. And that really helped us do our jobs really well. Milan, the Winter Games are never that large. I will say Salt Lake will be a very big games, but generally the Olympic Games winter are not very large, just simply because the volume of sports, the locations in Milan were challenging. Having 3 very separate markets that were 6 hours plus apart made it very challenging for you to go to a lot of different things. And also the venues were not necessarily fully iconic. The backdrops in Milan was not there. It's not like they had the Duomo in the background of figure skating. You know, they didn't do that. But we were very happy with what we were able to do there. But again, the real opportunity for us has always been LA. And that's what we're really pumped about. And the kinds of experiences that we're doing and building are already doing really well. We have more suites on sale for LA than for any other games ever in the history. We sold actually already more suites to the LA Games than we sold in all of Paris. So already it's been hugely received. The venues are phenomenal, and the way that the organizing committee is thinking about the fan experience is really wonderful. So it's a terrific backdrop for us to create even a more elevated experience at equestrian or swimming in SoFi, volleyball, and then the new sports, flag football, which we're a big partner of the NFL's, helping fans experience flag at the global level in the LA Games is going to make that one of the hottest tickets there is. And so we are literally designing every venue alongside the committee to make sure that every guest is having an extraordinary experience through on location. It's going to be the perfect definition. If you want to just go and pay the least amount, they're offering $28 tickets, have at it. It's a ticket to sit in the stadium. But if you go with on location, you're going to have an experience. And when you go to an Olympic Games, and you guys have been to enough of them to know, these are bucket list moments. Most people don't get to go to multiples, and certainly not in their backyard like in LA. So if you're going to go, you really want to go in the most extraordinary way. Just sitting in the seat and taking in a match, it's fine. Going in with on location, it's incredible.
What are some of the challenges that you're facing with LA, given things like transportation and limit of hotel rooms and some of those things that in LA are problematic when the Olympics aren't there?
Yeah. So that's why you want to even go with on location even more, because those problems are not problems for us, because we have all the hotel rooms that you would want. We have the cars, the buses, the transportation to get you in and out of venues without the hassle and the traffic. We have different egress, so you go through different entrances than the general fan. So you stay in great places. You're not sitting in a car in traffic. You're not waiting on long lines. You're just getting the most experience. So if you do it on your own, you'll go to maybe one venue a day. If you go with us, you can do the typical Olympic 2-3 venues a day, and you also have the concierge teams over here that help plan your experience so that you are getting everything you want to do at your fingertips. You know, in the past, pre-Paris, there was at least 26 different companies that were offering the services that we do. We're the only official global company. There's no other company that's official that has the tickets, has the hotel rooms, has the transportation, has the inside egress access, has all the different pieces, and the talent relationships. You can watch the matches with an Olympian. Like in Paris, we had people watching the swimming finals with Michael Phelps. We had people watching the women's gymnastics finals with Ali Roisman. I mean, you know, like watching gymnastics with Ali, you understand it differently. It's like, you know, some people say, oh, I really want to watch it on television because I love the commentary. Yeah, sit next to Ali. That's beyond commentary, right? That's insight that you can't get anywhere else. And we do that at a massive scale. So it's not like we're doing this for 20 people or 40 people. We do this for big companies, small companies, large families, individuals, but we do it in massive, massive scale. And everybody walks away with that high level of touch that feels like it was made specifically for them. And that's the greatest thing we hear from guests all the time, is that they're like, wow, you know, I felt like we just had WrestleMania this past weekend. I had people call me on Monday and said, that was extraordinary. I felt like you developed WrestleMania just for me. And I was like, well, you know, we had a lot of guests there, thousands of guests, but everybody walks away feeling like it was for one.
Do you have stuff planned for Oklahoma City?
We do. When we will have planned for every market that the games are planning in. Now, you go to Oklahoma City, it's not going to be a lot of events there, right? There's very specific sports there, but we'll be there, and our teams are there. In Paris, we didn't go to surfing because that was in Tahiti, and there weren't any fans at surfing. It was a very local event. But we did operate in Marseille. We did operate in Lille, in addition to Paris. So we were everywhere. In Milan, we were in every venue across the entire region of Milan. You know, in all three areas, and it was actually in 6 total areas. And in LA, we'll operate in all of them.
Do you have a favorite so far of packages that you're planning for LA?
Yeah, there's so many good ones. I would say, first of all, the talent experience is something that I love, because I love when that. Also, we will pepper in things like excursions. There are people who want to play golf, or they'll want to go surfing with a surf legend, or they'll want to get tours of what makes Hollywood, or some of the backstage stuff. So we're creating some of those things for people. And so there'll be all of those. But then there's going to be really innovative, extraordinary seating. For example, we're doing the World Cup this summer. I know you guys are not, the podcast is really Olympics. I get that, but we do 700 events a year. So we do with 120 different rights holders. You just go to onlocationexp.com. You can see the wide breadth of what we do. But with the World Cup, for example, we have hospitality and we do a lot of the things you'll see in the Olympics. But one of the things that we're really pumped about is we are introducing what we call couch seating, which is we have 12 seats in MetLife for all 8 events, including the finals, that are 8 seats on the pitch, on the midline. You're watching it on a couch on the midline with your feet on the grass kind of feeling on television all the time at the World Cup finals. That you can't buy that, right? That's a once in a lifetime experience. That's On Location.
Will there be a Club 28 again?
Yes, we will do off-venue hospitalities. You enjoy Club 20. So what you're referring to is Club 26 or Club 24, which were our off-venue hospitality for the Olympics. And it became a really wonderful congregating area for people to experience it. We worked in partnership with the Olympic Museum to bring memorabilia, which was such a great way to tell the Olympic story and to bring it to life. We showcase all the medals from the history of the games. It's the only place, it had been the only place in Paris and the only place in Milan where you could see all the medals from every Olympic game all in one spot. And we'll do the same thing in LA. Those kinds of off-venue hospitality experiences really differentiate us as well. There are plenty of places, there are restaurants and bars, and there are a lot of people who put together what they call off-venue hospitality, which is wonderful. Countries do it. Casa Italia is a legendary one. I mean, there are some really good ones there. But our off-venue hospitality is really, truly the next level. And so some of our guests buy those packages so that they can have a place to go in the cities. And we're happy to do that.
Do you have a location for that yet for LA?
We didn't announce the location yet, but it's going to be, first of all, we look for convenient locations and we want it to be sort of a congregating area. So the way LA is structured, I think you've seen the map, it's in basically 3 core zones. So we are being thoughtful about making sure we serve the customers across the zones.
You're rolling out the hospitality packages, it seems like, slowly for LA. We don't have everything yet. So what's the thinking behind we have this available now, and I assume more sports will be coming?
So when we say we're not out there, if you go on the website, you'll see most of it there. If you want to start planning your experience, our sales reps are ready to go, and they'll start planning a few now. And we're already doing that. What we're not out there is with the general release yet, which will happen in the 4th quarter this year. But we do have many companies and individuals already securing their spots. And, it's still 2+ years away. So it's really early. But LA is going out with some of their ticketing drops now, which is building up some attention. And people know On Location enough that they're coming back to us because they know, like, oh, if LA is dropping tickets, then I should start building my experience, and we're ready to go.
What of the stuff that's released right now in terms of packages, what are a couple that excite you the most?
You're starting to see tickets and hospitality in all the different venues starting to emerge. The suites are all available right now. And I think the suite experience, especially in LA, is something that people should really pay attention to because, suites are very unique in LA. I mean, SoFi is a great example of that. And Intuit's another great example. Obviously going to be differently named for the games, but everyone knows of them based on those names. Those suite experiences are really special. And it's one that I think, if you know enough about the Olympic Games, having that kind of real estate is going to make the experience that much better. And then we'll have built suite experiences in some of the non-permanent venues as well. So you'll have that. In terms of the seating, there is some exciting seating things that we'll unveil over the first year of on sale. Things like what you saw when I'm describing at the World Cup. Innovative seats like that. So one of our taglines is we bring you closer than ever. So at our seating that becomes innovative tends to be very close as we can get in the FIFA case on the pitch. Can't go closer than that. I mean, other than getting hit in the head with a soccer ball, I don't know what you could possibly want. And you'll see more of those kinds of things. But I think what really differentiates us is not just the seat location, but it's all that goes along with it. So our guests are learning more about how we are going to be able to transport people closer to the venues, easier through traffic, and then how we've worked with all the best hotels and have a wide selection of hotels all around the LA region to give people multiple options and all different types of options. And that's the cool thing about On Location too, is we talk, often everybody gravitates towards what is clearly the most expensive real estate, right? Couches on the pitch are going to be clearly the most expensive real estate. But we've got price points for every pocketbook. So we're not only focused on the top buyers, we're focused on all buyers. And we do that because we really want everybody to have an experience, whether it's something you've saved a lifetime to do or it's something you just do as a matter of course of business. We treat every guest the same way. We generally, for the Super Bowl, take care of like 15 to 30,000 guests every Super Bowl, depending on the year. But there's way different price points for that.
Excellent. Anything else, Allison?
No. Did we miss anything, Paul?
Well, you missed what experience you guys are buying, but we.
Well, that was my off-air question. Was what do you have for fencing? Because my husband did not get into fencing at Paris and was just very not distraught, but he regretted the decision not to cash out for tickets. I got him a judo package, so he enjoyed that very much. But we have to make sure he goes to fencing in LA.
I think, but that's, if you ask me, like when people say, "Oh, what are you going to go see?" and they name the big games, right? The men's gold basketball or things like that. And I was like, yeah, you could go to that. And yes, to see like Team USA, it's like the all-star upon all-stars, right? It's like you can't even believe who's on the court on those things. That is great. But to me, the Olympic Games is all about the sports you generally don't go to. So fencing and judo are perfect examples of that. And I would encourage people to go to all those types of sports and to really see the breadth of the kind of talent. I mean, when we were in Milan, the speed skating was so much fun. I don't go to speed skating as a general fan. I go to hockey, but I don't go to speed skating, but I loved it. And that's the kind of thing that I think is really interesting. The other part is when you're with On Location, if stories start to emerge, which it always does in the Olympics, and you don't know where the stories are going to be, like an extraordinary talent in fencing, we help you move your inventory over. So you can be like, oh, I'm going to swimming, but I'd really rather go to fencing. It's like, well, that's what we work with you on. And that's why you go with an experienced partner, to make sure your experience matches your expectation.
Excellent. Well, Paul, thank you so much. We really appreciate catching up with you and learning more about LA28. We'll probably touch base with you again closer to the games.
Well, I look forward to it. And of course, love seeing you guys. And we look forward to seeing you soon.
Excellent.
Thank you.
If you are going to the Paralympics, don't worry. There's going to be hospitality packages for Paralympics too, which might be a first because I don't remember them they weren't around at Milan for sure. And I don't remember them. Don't laugh. I don't think they were there at Paris either.
I don't recall seeing them.
So I am excited to know that they will be at the Paralympics in LA, but nothing has been released on that yet. There's more to come in the future, but that's because tickets for the Paralympics haven't been released yet. So that's coming next year. Ooh, exciting.
They don't need 2 years to sell the tickets ahead of time.
Yeah. Come on, go to the Paralympics, sell those babies out.
I think the Paralympics is going to do very well in LA. People are going to get excited about it.
Well, it's going to be, sadly, it's going to be another, we discovered the Paralympics and how cool they are.
Right.
But that's okay.
We'll take what we can get.
And we welcome you to the Paralympic fandom.
I have forgotten all my French. I have nothing for you.
Got to work on that. We only got a few years till French Alps 2030.
I know. I got to get it back.
This is Paris 2024 news, and I think it's because we reported on this earlier when it actually happened, and now we have an update. Swimswam.com reports that the pool from the U.S. Olympic trials for 2024 is up for sale. And what I believe we reported in an earlier show is that it was supposed to go to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and the Fort Wayne Swim and Wellness Alliance, Inc., was not able to get the funding it needs to build the new natatorium to go with the pool. So now it's been unable to extend the loan it has on the pool, and they got to sell it now because they don't got the money to keep paying for it.
So they just have this big pool up for sale.
Yeah, and that's a bummer because it sounded like Fort Wayne could have used a new swimming facility, and of course you've got this beautiful Mirtha Pool, and we know of Mirtha Pools. That's a blast from the past early episode.
I know that has to be in the first 50 probably.
Yeah, so if you wondered what happens to the pools, these temporary pools, we'll link to the episode where we talked with one of the executives from Mirtha Pools and found out where they go and why they can go, because that blew our minds.
But it's not going to Fort Wayne. Also lost all of my Italian.
This is a rousing endorsement for Duolingo.
My brain can't think that fast. I'm like, prosciutto, salami, prosecco.
Milano Cortina has the meats, apparently. Oh, Milano Cortina. We are starting to get the budgetary news we kind of expected to hear.
And it's not good.
No, it's not good. So, Sport ORF, La Notizia, and Il Nord Est report that the Milano Cortina Olympic Foundation, which organized the events, expects a 310 million euro deficit by the end of 2026. Costs were $230 million. $30 million. Costs were 230 million euros higher. Why? Well, when you're late on your venues, it costs more. And
when you're building the hockey arena as the players are walking in, you're not going to be scrimping and saving.
Right. And we've joked about the Italian, oh, let's wait. It'll happen. And then we scramble to get it done and we go, ta-da, we finished it. And everybody's happy. But then like the bill comes because there's got to be so much overtime between the sliding track and the hockey arena alone. Getting all of those done on time was just insane amounts of shifts.
Right. They were building 24 hours a day. And when you do that, it gets very expensive.
Yes. They also kept changing the plan a lot, which costs money.
Yeah,
and
if you've ever done a project in your house and you say, I have an idea, and the contractor just gives you the look. Like, your idea is going to set us back 2 weeks and 10% on the budget.
Right. La Notizia also noted that personnel costs, energy, and telecommunications infrastructure also contributed to the debt. And I will say, I mean, we talked with Pascal Vatio, who has been in Olympic IT for a while. We talked with him a year or two ago. No, it's probably been close to 2 years. And he talked about how expensive that was. And when I went to Alpine and saw just cables everywhere draped from this temporary tent, and wasn't it that the same way at the media center in Cortina?
Yes.
Yeah. And you just go, oh my goodness, this is amazing and insane all at the same time. And how much did this cost?
Right. And how expensive it is to have those giant fans going for cooling all that equipment.
Right. Oh boy. So the foundation also owes money to the Italian Olympic Committee, Caine, and the Italian Paralympic committees for trademark royalties and commercial rights. So they owe Caine $35 million and the Paralympic Committee $5.4 million. Not cheap for trademark usage.
As we know.
Also, apparently revenues were $80 million lower than expected, but they haven't figured out how much revenue merchandising brought in, maybe because they kept changing the prices on stuff.
How much was that bag?
Don't know. But right now the real question is who's going to pay for the budget shortfalls? Right now the state owes 50%, but the regional members of the foundation were asked to kick in some money to balance the budget, with estimates that they'd have to pay between 26 million and 40 million, I think each. But I'm not sure about that one. Everyone's been hoping the IOC would kick in some more money. This is great. The IOC said no.
Of
We're
course
not-
they did.
We've
The
given
IOC
you-
passes the buck quite literally whenever they can, so they're certainly not going to kick in more cash.
Right. So they said, yeah, we gave you enough per the host contract. You're on your own here. And nobody's happy about this. Tourism was down at some ski resorts for the 25-26 season, probably obviously because some of them were closed off for preparing venues and for the games. And so they're not happy because tourism was off, but the real test comes next year if tourism goes back up. Because apparently that happened in Paris. Like 24 was down, 25 went way up.
Because people saw it and said, I want
Yes.
to go there and see all these things in person.
Yes. So hat tip to Sports Examiner and listener Sabrina for giving us the lowdown on that and the giving us the tip off to that news. Il Nord-Est has also reported on legacy issues. Now, legacy takes a while to realize, right?
I was going to say it's a little quick for legacy, but sometimes it's very quick because of it was actually part of the games and then it's just something that hangs on.
Yes. So in terms of transportation, they planned 4 mountain bypasses. And according to the regional TV network Antenna Tre, one of those bypasses has been in the works since 1968.
That seems about appropriate for Italian construction.
2 of these bypasses are still being designed. One
It didn't even get off the design table.
right.
Wow.
One will be done by the end of the year. And then the 4th one has opened. It did immediately reduce heavy vehicle traffic in some of these small mountain towns by 70%, according to the paper. This bypass also includes a link to the airport in Venice, which will provide an easier connection to the airport for people further north. And we would have seen these on the road as like roundabouts, that they were still under construction, because we did see a fair amount of construction on the way up to Cortina every day during the
Yes.
Paralympics. Some of these infrastructure legacies may not be finished until 2033.
Okay.
There's been some rail improvements, including a regional operations center that can monitor real-time traffic over a 500-kilometer region.
So it
That's
can
pretty
tell
cool.
you when your train is stuck.
Probably. There's some conflicting reports about investments in healthcare. One article from Il Nord-Est says that the region got 15 new ambulances and an 86-bed hospital, but another interview that they did says there were no investment in healthcare services. So I'm not quite sure what all of that means. We're working with a lot of Google translated stuff as well. Keep that in mind. Some local historic buildings got renovated. However, given the budget shortfalls that we just learned about, there is concern that some of these projects are just going to be abandoned because there's no money to finish them.
Yeah. Makes sense.
In the Veneto region, which includes Venice, Verona, and the Dolomites, the estimated economic impact is 5.3 billion euros, but that is a forecast. We're a ways off from achieving that. The reported investment was 1.124 billion euros, resulting in 1.461 billion in value, and 839 million has gone towards the regional GDP, gross domestic product. So right now we're positive about some of these legacy elements on the Cortina side of the games. Venue-wise, the sliding novella is back.
Yes. Yes.
So if you're new to the show, we love the drama that happens around games, like the organizers' plans that go a little overboard, which results in a novella like soap opera. So we've in the past had the marathon novella, modern
For Tokyo.
pentathlon novella.
for Paris.
And now we have the sliding novella around this brand new sliding track that got built. And who did not see this happening? But God bless reporter Alessandro Michele at Il Nord-Est, who published a video on April 26 talking about the delay in handing over the new bobsled track to the municipality of Cortina. So he noticed that there was some obvious damage on the track that is causing the handover delay. And there is a 45-page report detailing 100 plus issues with a track where infrastructure is damaged or missing, and fixing those could cost as much as 1 million euros.
See, this is what I expected, that they got it done so quickly and everybody was cheering, oh, it's done, it's great, there's no problem. I couldn't imagine that you got it done that fast. Something's got to give. So this doesn't surprise me at all that there are missing or damaged infrastructure pieces because they rushed it so fast.
Yeah. Just the whole, how can they possibly build a brand new sliding track in a year? Because that had never been done before. And they said, we did it. And now we see all the problems. Now that the show is over, the problems come out. So that will be interesting to see how that transpires, because you're supposed to be able to use this track again. And hopefully they can get that all done. Il Nord-Est, which is my new favorite publication, by the way.
Clearly.
I just kept going and going. It was a big rabbit hole for me this week. They report that the Cortina village is being dismantled. In general, the teardown's not going well.
Yeah, because in Cortina, there was so much setup. There were so many gates and fake walls and, in the streets. And has to come down.
And then the village, it was like 15 kilometers north in this valley, and just probably several hundred small structures.
Right.
And there's been delays, damage to plants that they now have to pay for. Teardown is scheduled to continue into May, but the work's not going to be done until October or November because the site needs to be restored to its original condition. So this is going to be a long haul. And of course, you're talking 6 more months for this to be finished. How much will that cost on top of it? So the structures that were used in the village are going to be repurposed, but their final destination is unknown. They think maybe Tuscany could get some of the stuff.
Oh.
Eat, pray, love, man, right? Wasn't she in Tuscany? Who was it? Diane Lane? She was in Tuscany, right? Diane,
under the Tuscan sun.
Oh, there you go. Under the Tuscan sun.
You can live in one of the Cortina structures. You want to leave your husband and run away. I got nothing.
How's your English?
That's questionable. It's questionable. Let's just put it that way.
We have some exciting LA28 news. The organizing committee announced that ticket drop number 2 will open this coming August, but they have not given a specific date yet. So if you haven't registered for the ticket lottery, you can do so now through July 22. And if you were
some time here.
Yes. If you saw tickets were on sale and went, ooh, I want to be in on that, you register for this drawing. It's a random drawing. You win a slot. If your name gets picked, you win a slot to buy tickets. If you get in, LA28 contacts you with further steps on the process from there on out. Drop 2 is supposed to include all sports at all price points.
Now, is that all sports at all price points, or that some tickets for some sports will be at different price points?
I don't know.
Okay.
There'll
be the $28 tickets for some things. Available in this drop.
But it also could mean that every sport has every price range on sale. You are allowed to buy up to 12 tickets per account, but for the ceremonies, there is a 4 ticket per Olympic ceremony limit. This limit is for your account, so you don't have to buy all your tickets at once. LA Organizing Committee also gave stats about their first sale, so maybe this will help set some expectations for you going into ticket drop number 2. So if you were in the main drop 1 sale and said, hey, there are no cheap tickets here, what's going on? That's because 95% of the drop one tickets that were under $100 got sold in the locals only sale. 95%. That's amazing. So locals got most of the drop one cheap tickets, just so you know. 500,000 of the $28 tickets were sold in the local sale. And if you remember from earlier announcements, LA 2028 was going to have at least 1 million $28 tickets. So half of those are gone. Stats about specific sports. For football or soccer, if you call it that, almost everything in drop one sold, and that was for venues across the country. So
That makes so much sense because you don't have to plan any travel for that. You could
right,
just
if
go
you're
to your local, I know they're having ones at Yankee Stadium. So it's like, oh, if you're in New York, you just buy the tickets. You don't have to worry about, oh, am I going to have to travel? No, you just got to get on the subway.
Yes. There is excitement all over the country for football. Artistic gymnastics was the fastest selling sport in ticket drop number one.
You're horrified.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you want to go see artistic gymnastics, I just think that that's going to turn into high demand all the time.
Absolutely.
For high demand tickets would be for us as journalists. So that's going to be a tough ticket for everybody. Flag football, lacrosse, softball, and squash sold out of all of their tickets that were in drop one. So people are excited about the new sports. That does not mean all the tickets are gone. It's just whatever got allocated for ticket drop one sold. Most popular area was what they call the Valley Zone. And that has 3x3, BMX, modern pentathlon, and skateboard. And that led the sell-through for its combined feature sports, according to the press release. Do not forget that if you buy tickets, you must pay with Visa.
And only Visa.
Right. And that's because Visa is a partner of the International Olympic Committee. But new partnership news, we have an official bank now. JP Morgan Chase has signed up to be a founding partner of the LA 2028 Games and an International Olympic Committee top sponsor.
This is the first new top sponsor in a bit.
It's first bank, and the IOC has lost some top sponsors.
Yes.
So this is good news for them. JP Morgan Chase will also be the official bank of Team USA and a partner with NBC Universal. So the press release that came with this said JP Morgan Chase will support the LA28 Games by creating opportunities for athletes, empowering local businesses, and investing in local communities. This includes plans to host financial health workshops at branches and other locations to help athletes plan for their financial futures beyond the LA28 Games. So I did send an email to their press office asking for some more details. I kind of wonder if there's going to be a work program like Home Depot had.
Oh, yeah.
That would be cool, but no idea because they never got back to me. I also asked if there was going to be anything for fans. Like, will we see a branded credit card?
Well, if they haven't thought of that, they need to.
They should.
What we definitely will see is giant cutouts in Chase branches. And I am looking forward to posing with as many as I can find. As we've said, I've lost my French.
Okay. We have news from French Alps 2030. Still waiting on that venue plan. Less than 4 years to go. We do not have a venue plan. That is on the agenda for the IOC Executive Board meeting in June. So hopefully that will get finalized then. And I think that's also when we find out if Nordic Combined stays on the program.
Yeah.
And if ski mountaineering will come back. So we'll see about those then. In the meantime, the current plan has been for skiing events to be in the Alps, skating events in Nice. So it's going to be spread out like Milano Cortina 2026. To do that, ice hockey was planned for the Allianz Arena in Nice. And according to the Associated Press, Nice's new mayor does not want to create a temporary rink there and has said no. So now what do? Enter Paris.
Oh, no.
So the AP reported that the Paris Entertainment Company, operator of Adidas Arena, which you may remember as La Chapelle Arena, which hosted badminton and para powerlifting and para badminton, and the Accor Arena, which maybe you remember as Bear Sea Arena, for some gymnastics, and I believe basketball was
Yes,
there.
the basketball finals.
And wheelchair basketball. They have put a bid in saying, we'll host. We have 2 arenas right here ready to go. Franchou reports that Lyon is also game to host. So either city is going to be likely less expensive than setting up temporary rinks at venues in Nice. And the 2030 executive board meets on May 11th. So we may know more then.
I guess we're going back to Paris.
We'll find out. I mean, yeah, I think that French Alps 2030 for the next 4 years is just going to be sigh after sigh.
Ugh.
We have some news from the International Paralympic Committee, the International Shooting Sport Federation, and the IPC have signed an agreement for the ISSF to take over governance of shooting para sport. It needs to be ratified by ISSF members at their General Assembly later this year. And if it happens, that will be a 2-year process to complete the shift over. And the reason we're telling you this is because this has been part of the IPC's mission for the last couple of years, has been to transfer sports that they have been responsible for the governance of to international federations. So that way, when the whole process is complete, the IPC is going to be an organization that more mirrors the IOC, who also does not do any direct governance of sports. But this is just kind of an interesting point in the IPC's history where they used to run the sports and now they can be more of an oversight body and really work on the Paralympic Games.
And it's also interesting to see most of the time it has been the able-bodied governing body has taken over the parasport, that you're not coming up with new governing bodies, that they're being melded into the existing bodies, which makes a lot of sense.
Yes. So that is good to know that the IPC is making progress on that front and that effort to become a new and more improved organization. And I think it also helps the athletes to have a sports group running the governance of their sport. We have some World Games news. I don't have a World Games sounder.
Huh. I thought we did.
Wait, what's this? Well, we got a sounder now. I don't know what I think this is just some music that Riverside, our recording studio, has. Sounds kind of good for World Games. Hey, so we got a whole bunch of news from the International World Games Association this week. If you're a newer listener and don't know what the World Games is, come on aboard, because we did not know when we first started the show what the World Games was either. The World Games is like a Summer Olympics for lesser known sports or disciplines of sports. These aren't on the Olympic program. Perhaps they want to be. So this is a good stepping stone event for them. For example, gymnastics is on the World Games program, but it's events like tumbling and acrobatics versus what you see on the Olympics with the apparatuses and the team event. Squash is on the program. Squash is going to be at LA28, but that's not an official permanent sport for the Olympics yet, so it's going to stay on the World Games program for now. World Games has been around since '81, so it's also not that new of an organization compared to the International Olympic Committee. We pay attention to them because they are recognized by the IOC, and there is a memorandum of understanding between the two organizations. The IOC acts as a patron to the World Games, so there is a connection there that is interesting. As a fan, these are funky sports.
So much fun watching the World Games.
Yes, Yes, exactly. Several sports have transitioned from being a World Games sport to being an Olympic sport. Those include beach volleyball, badminton, sport climbing, trampoline, rugby sevens, and like we said, squash is another one to jump. The next edition of the World Games is in Karlsruhe, Germany in 2029. The funky thing about the World Games is that the sport program tends to change with every edition. The host city gets to choose the program from IWGA, the International World Games Association's recognized federations. So Karlsruhe 2029 announced their list, and here we go. The sports you will see at the next World Games are air sports, American football, archery, billiards, bull sports, canoe, cheerleading, climbing, dance sport, fistball, floorball, flying disc, gymnastics, handball, hockey, jujitsu, karate, kickboxing, korfball, lacrosse, life-saving, Muay Thai, orienteering, powerlifting, roller sports, squash, sumo is back,
Sumo.
tug of war, underwater sports, water ski and wakeboard, and wushu.
And we don't know necessarily, for example, dance sport, there's a lot of different events under dance sport. So we don't know yet which events are going to be in there. We just know dance sport will be there. Same thing with gymnastics. We know it's probably going to be tumbling and acrobatics, but we don't know which configuration. And cheerleading, even last time we had double palms. So this could be a whole other,
Right.
a whole variation of it.
Exactly. And dragon boating was at Chengdu 2025, and that's a canoe event. So we don't know. That was new for Chengdu. We don't know if it'll be back. Dragon boat was cool, though.
It was fun with the drums and everything.
Additional sports under consideration pending further final IWGA Executive Committee approval by July 1st, 2026. Baseball and softball, bowling, racquetball, and sambo. So hockey is new. What is out from Chengdu 2025 is power boating and duathlon. Duathlon was a triathlon type sport. Potentially racquetball and baseball, softball, and sambo. But those are the ones under consideration. So we don't know.
They're on the fence still.
Disciplines, medal events, and any para sports will be announced later in 2026. Also in World Games news, the International Chess Federation is now a member of the IWGA, so chess may come onto the World Games program in the future.
Let's combine chess and power boating. So you have to do your chess game on a power boat.
You get one lap to make your move.
Exactly.
The IWGA also has a new president, Anna Arjanova, who's the fourth president in the IWGA's history. She succeeds Jose Pereira, who was term limited out after 12 years. Arjanova is from Serbia and Russia and is also president of the World Underwater Sports Federation. So you can know that underwater sports ain't going anywhere.
Not if Anna has anything to say about it.
And if you don't know about underwater sports, this is like the free diving stuff. It's in a pool, and it's
terrifying. I'm sorry. It's terrifying.
I find it disturbing, to be quite honest. But people like it. People do it. We have more World Games talk on our Facebook group. It's started already. So thank you, listener Brittany, for getting that ball rolling, because we are looking forward to what's going to happen in Germany.
Welcome to Shuklustan.
It is the time of the show where we check in with our team Keep the Flame Alive. These are past guests and listeners of the show who make up the citizenship of our very own country, Shuklustan. We have got results.
Weightlifter Hampton Morris competed in the 2026 Senior Pan American Championships, placing second in the 65 kilogram category.
Wrestler Alejandro Sancho was upset in the quarterfinals at the 2026 U.S. Open Championships. He did not make this year's national team.
Congratulations to wheelchair basketball player Brian Bell, who made the 2026 U.S. national team.
And then we have some get well soon wishes to para-powerlifter Bobby Body, who recently had surgery.
Can you imagine trying to cut into that arm?
I think it was a leg surgery.
Oh, thank goodness. Because if he was going to, because he'd go in and he'd start bench pressing the table.
Bench press the doctor.
Yeah, and hug everybody. But yes,
Try-
best wishes to Bobby because we know he can't sit still for long.
Right. We have some accolades that are very exciting.
Congratulations to race walker Evan Dunphy, who won Athletics Canada's 2025 Cal Bricker Trophy for a single outstanding performance.
Gymnast Yul Moldauer got inducted to the College Gymnastics Hall of Fame.
And Kat Holmes, fencer, got engaged.
And paraswimmer Jessica Long is pregnant with twin boys who are due in August. She still plans to train for LA 2028 right now. And that if she makes it, that will be her final Paralympics. Good luck to everybody.
Like babies and weddings and all kinds of things in Shuklustan.
Exactly. And that is going to do it for this. What if we had some Shuklustan wedding planning services?
We could do that. I make a mean bouquet.
You do. And also headpieces.
I do. I have done that, not professionally, just at last minute panic situations and crisis moments at events, but I do a good job.
So if you're curious, Shuklustan wedding services available for you. That is going to do it for this episode. Do not forget to join our Facebook group, Keep the Flame Alive podcast, and hang out with other Olympics and Paralympics fans. Like we said, World Games Chat has started, and we have posted an interesting volunteer opportunity with the USOPC. So thank you so much for listening.
And until next time, keep the flame alive.